So, Shiftall also has a full body tracking solution that is no base stations, no nothing. A lot of people in Japan are already using this.
No delay, and high frame rate, and also the include
You want to be able to do this in VR and not go into massive debt? Well, now is your time. Full body tracking is without a doubt my favorite part of virtual reality, and it's something I wish more people could do. It's the single biggest immersion booster in social VR. Being able to see your legs move around just adds so much to the experience. But there's a few big problems. It's prohibitively expensive, really niche, and it requires a lot of very specific gear if you want good full body tracking. Otherwise, you'll be looking like a crab sandwich in VR quite often. Right now, if you want the best of full body, you'll need laser tracking base stations, which are expensive on their own, in addition to Vive or Tundra trackers. If you're on something like a Quest 2 or Rift S, or really anything that doesn't require base stations already, the cost to just get good FBT can be as much as $700 or $800, and you're still limited by laser tracking, like you have to be within line of sight of base stations. And there are alternatives like Slime VR, which we'll touch back on in just a moment, but at CES this year, I experienced hands down the best full body tracking I've tried yet. And the best part, it requires no base stations, no hardcore Arduino servers, and works with any VR headset out there. This is the Shiftall HaritoraX, a brand new VR full body tracking setup. The HaritoraX is not new. It's been around for quite a while in Japan, but it's just now getting released in North America and Europe. I got to demo and try out the hardware at CES alongside Shiftall's Megane X headset and Mutalk sound suppression microphone, and I was pretty shocked by the results of these trackers.
Holy cow!
And it turns out this is something that you can pre-order now. I was so excited about this demo that I just had to share with you guys. So here is the basic setup. A HaritoraX consists of 5 IMU sensors as well as range sensors on the subunits. Using all of these IMU sensors, the HaritoraX software can calculate where your legs are at any given point and use range sensors to sense how far your feet are, so you're not only moving your legs but also have small localized movements like your ankles and feet. The 5 IMUs go on your chest, knees, ankles, and honestly, when all set up, it looks kinda cool, like some dope tech wear, and doesn't feel restrictive, which is obviously important for something if you're going to be moving around very often like in full body tracking. Actually, putting on the HaritoraX was no more complicated than donning Vive trackers, and was a little faster than putting on Slime trackers, which uses a very similar setup for full body tracking. Also using an array of IMU sensors to calculate approximate full body tracking. And Slime can potentially even be cheaper than this, but the crazy ease of use of the HaritoraX and the tracking accuracy is what's getting me so excited about this. If you don't mind tinkering a little with software and servers, Slime is still a great option, don't get me wrong, but at least in my experiences so far, this setup out of the box is so good that I may actually use it over my base stations and Tundra trackers for at least some applications. So more onto the demo and how it actually worked for me. The setup is exceptionally easy and quick, one of the bigger selling points of course. I slid on all of the IMU sensors, made an eye pose with my body, clicked the trigger 5 times, then bent my knees, pressed the trigger 5 more times, and then just calibrated my trackers in VR chat like always, and it was set up. That was it. No hassle, 10 clicks of the trigger, and you could potentially have a fully wireless, base stationless, full body tracking setup within VR chat or Neos or Chill Out VR, and if you use something like AirLink or Virtual Desktop on a Quest 2, then even the headset is wireless. Now, in terms of tracking quality, this is where I was really shocked.
You guys have something really cool!
Jumping around, kicking the air, even laying down, the full body tracking was really good. There was only one noticeable downside while using this tracking from a significantly more expensive base station track setup, is that there is slightly higher latency, meaning that when I moved, there was slightly more time before my avatar in VR chat moved. But this could also be due to the extreme interference at a big consumer electronics conference like CES. The latency very well could be a lot lower in the home. But more on the positives here. In case the 5 IMU sensor array isn't enough, HaritoraX does have expansion slots to add more in the future, meaning that even though the tracking is pretty good right now, it can get even better. Plus, this thing features a 10-hour battery life, higher than the Tundra Tracker or Vive Tracker 3, not quite as high as the Slime, but still impressive. However, the 2 biggest parts that I really love about this sort of setup is that since you're not relying on cameras or lasers to provide tracking, tracking, you can fully occlude any of the trackers. You can be under a blanket wearing a skirt like Fia is here, or wear it under a jacket or something. It doesn't matter. The trackers are only measuring movement, not position. So now chill VR chat nights laying under a blanket watching a movie while in full body tracking is totally possible, and it's not a big deal, which to me is a massive deal. No more cold nights. So, I'm not gonna lie, the HaritoraX isn't cheap. Costing $270, there are still far cheaper options like Slime or using an Xbox Kinect or a webcam, but for the price and for the efficiency of price, this is absolutely the closest you can get to SteamVR base station full body tracking for a fraction of the cost, and it works really well and easily, which is important. Even in this case, just to add full body tracking, you're doubling the cost of your investment if you own a Quest 2, which according to SteamVR stats, a lot of you do. So if I'm going to recommend someone invest that heavily in something like full body tracking, which only supports a handful of applications, I want to make sure that the experience is easy and actually works and it's consumerized, something I haven't really seen until this. Also, if you are a base station full body tracking user like me, these are still pretty compelling for two big reasons. One, of course, like I've talked about, is the occlusion, or more like the lack of need to worry about occlusion, making those chill VR sessions even more chill. But also, this is a really good mobile full body tracking setup. A laptop, Oculus Link, or good Wi-Fi connection, Quest 2, and HaritoraX, and you have legitimately good full body tracking no matter where you are. No need to lug around base stations, something I've done way too often. Here are some examples of me contorting my body in VR chat with these trackers and laying down, and things actually look pretty darn good. I'm lucky enough to have a good Tundra tracker setup with base stations for my full body, but I have had points where I considered using something like Slime more often, but I think for the first time I may actually do it and end up using base stations far less often. Of course, I will have to get these in hand and do longer term, more intensive testing and test them side by side with Vive and Tundra trackers and Slime to see how accurate they really are compared to the competition. But for now, and from what I see and have tested, it looks like we may just have very legitimate, cheaper, full body tracking that works very well for everyone, regardless of what headset you're on. And I can't wait to see that. Like I said, right now, the HaritoraX is available for pre-order for $270 and should ship around February to March of this year. So it looks like we may get to see these and a whole lot more full body tracking users very soon. If you do want to talk more about this or have any questions on things that I didn't touch on, leave a comment down below or ask me directly on Twitch during one of my streams, or even join in my Discord to ask. I'd be happy to talk to anyone about these and answer any big questions that you have. I want to say thank you to all of my Patreon supporters, especially my Omegas. I couldn't do any of this without you. Thank you so much for helping me bring all of this information to the VR community. And make sure you like this video if you loved it, subscribe if you want more of this, and hit that freaking bell if you just can't live without it. Much love, Thrill out.